Today we want to think through a candle making business because it sounds simple and it gets talked about a lot, but I don't think people actually break it down. I'm not a guru, just a regular guy who loves to think through this type of thing. So we're going to walk through what it would actually cost, how easy it is to get started, whether there's a real demand, how much effort it realistically takes, how scalable it is, score each of those 5 categories and see where this business idea lands compared to my others. Before we get into actual numbers, let's talk about why candle making is appealing in the first place. On the surface, it feels like a gateway business into entrepreneurship. There's a lot of creative freedom, branding, scent, story, packaging, but there are also guide rails which are helpful when you're building it. Everyone has the vessel, everyone has a scent, and you just get to choose yours. At the same time, the thing that immediately gives us pause is the barrier to entry, which is pretty low, which usually means that there's a lot of competition. But for now, we're going in neutral. We're not rooting for it or against it. We just want to see where this idea holds up versus others. All right, first, let's start with the startup costs. Wax. We're going to go with soy wax because it's beginner friendly. And a 50-pound bag feels like a good place to start, and it's the largest bag that you can get on Amazon, and that comes to $161.99. And the nice thing here with this product is that it actually comes with wicks and the stickers for the wicks, so we can check those off our list as well. Fragrance oils. We're going to want to keep this simple, so let's start with 4 scents at first. And if we use the 8% fragrance load and we have about 50 pounds of wax, we're going to need 64 ounces of fragrance oils. ChatGPT helped me with the math here, but it looks good. We'll go with Vine Vita oils, and they're about $51 each, so that brings it to a grand total of $204 for the scents. Here's another place where you can get creative. It's the containers or the vessel. I like mason jars, that's familiar to me. And I think I'm going to go with an 8-ounce jar, so we'll need about 100 to start. That only became obvious to me after asking ChatGPT. Found packs of 30 jars for about $31 each. I like the look of these ones pictured. And 4 packs gets us 120 jars. It's better to have more than have less. That's $124 total. Okay, so now we're going to need some equipment as well. And the first thing we need is the wax melter. We don't want to cheap out here. A decent one with good reviews is about $70 on Amazon. A thermometer is essential if you want to keep consistent product, and that's about $10. We're going to need a scale. We need to measure by weight, not volume, which is very convenient if you ask me, because I have no idea how to measure volume. I don't think I've done that since 5th grade when I was in science class. I want to go with the one that plugs in, because batteries. Those things will die on you when you least expect it and when you need them the most. And I kind of want to do one that can handle a lot of weight so that we can do this once a week. We're making candles in batches. That's going to be about $30 for the one pictured. Looks like it's pretty simple to use. And simplicity is key here, especially if we're doing this in batches. And then there's the wick holders. I guess there are ways to make your own wick holder, but let's not get too complicated here. Let's just get the $10 product. We'll go with the one that's $9 on Amazon. Let's make it easy on ourselves here. Okay, now packaging and shipping. This is something that some people will forget about, and it's important because it's actually expensive. I'm just going to go with what it costs per candle, and we can go from there. Labels, $1 per candle, so that's going to be $100. Boxes, $1 per candle, so that's going to be another $100. Packing paper, $20. Shipping boxes, $68. Shipping labels, about $7 per candle. When we add up the total, it comes to $1,597 to start it up. And honestly, this feels really manageable, not very expensive at all. For about $1,500, we can start a real business, sustain ourselves for a while, and there's no immediate recurring costs that we have to go right into right after starting. So I'm giving the startup cost a 5 out of 5. Okay, let's talk about the ease of getting started. How easy is it to start? Ordering everything is simple. I mean, we could have it all within a week. Everything comes off Amazon. Pretty simple. Before we ever make $1, we'll probably start an Instagram, post some behind the scenes content, open up an Etsy shop and create our branding, probably use Canva for that, create our logo, and then start uploading stuff onto socials. We don't really need an LLC yet, so we don't have to spend money on that. This can run entirely from our home at first, so there's no real risk involved. The most annoying part for us, I think, is going to be the packaging and shipping. That feels like an unknown. Candles are kind of heavy, right? There's definitely a learning curve there. We're probably holding our breath on that first shipment out. Still, this feels very doable, so I'm gonna go with a 4 out of 5 for ease of start. So that brings the total score to a 9 or a 4.5 average so far. Pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about the demand. This is where things shift a little bit. Candles do sell. They can be given as gifts, personal purchases. They're pretty much for everyone, men and women. I love a good candle, and I'm a man, just an everyday man. But demand isn't the whole story. The data shows the candle industry is growing year over year. Market growth looks good, but the gut punch here is there are 200,000 people on Etsy alone selling candles. Now, that feels like a big number to us, so that's something to keep an eye on. That's going to mean standing out will be difficult, right? We're either going to have really different story, branding, something that makes us really unique, or we're going to have to be really, really affordable, which is tough when you're just starting out because you're kind of just scraping by. You can't buy things in bulk. So I'm going to go with demand score 2 out of 5 here. So that's going to bring the average down a little bit. Right now we're at 11 out of 15 for our total score. Okay, next let's talk about the effort required. Making a batch of candles, it's probably going to take like 2 to 4 hours. It's pretty simple. We probably film it. We're going to turn that into some content. Maybe we'll spend a couple of hours creating videos and posting on Instagram. So we're looking at maybe 6 hours, maybe 8 hours per week. That's something you could do after work if you have a full-time job or just in one day over the weekend. Mentally and physically, feels like it's pretty light work, almost relaxing, to be honest. When you think about customer interaction, I would say that's minimal. A candle's a candle, not many questions to be asked there. Most people have either bought a candle or probably sold a candle based on what I'm seeing on Etsy here. So I would say up to 20 candles per week is very manageable. I'm gonna say effort score is a 4 out of 5. So now that's gonna bring the score up a little bit as well as the average. The last category here is scalability. And this is where things start to fall apart on us. Let's look at profit per candle, which is not great. The raw materials are going to cost us $4.66 per candle. Packaging and shipping alone is $9.88 per candle. We could get that down with experience, but this is where we're starting off right now, right? So the total cost per candle is about $14.54, almost $15. That feels high. If we want to sell these 8-ounce candles for $20, which also feels high, that's still only a $5 profit per candle. If we sell 20 candles per week, it's only $100 a week. And to make more, we'd have to make more candles. And that doesn't feel like a business, that starts to feel like a job. So scalability is a 1 out of 5. That brings the total and average way down. I don't know, guys. Before we wrap this up, I just want to say if there's another business idea that any of you want to see me think through, please comment below. And let's go into our final verdict. Startup cost gets a 5. Ease of start gets a 4. Demand gets a 2. Effort gets a 4. And scalability gets a 1. We're looking at a total score of 16 for a candle making business. Before thinking this through, we were neutral on this idea. After seeing the numbers, the competition, the effort, the upside, the scalability, all these things add up to a thumbs down. And this doesn't mean candle making is bad. It's just not for us right now. Thank you again for thinking this business idea through with me. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.